Thank you for joining today. One more. Waleed, always on time. First of all, it's great to be back in contact with people. I've been doing some online stuff and it's just not the same. So it's nice to have connection with people. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for coming here. Today's theme is about transforming yourself, transforming repeat patterns, transforming aspects of you that do not need to exist inside of you anymore. And I'll dive into a little bit of the theory and the background about how I came about this process and how we reach transformation. Just a little bit about myself. I was born in Cyprus. I grew up in South Africa. And in South Africa, I began a lot of my training. I'm actually qualified as a chartered accountant, and I left that career to pursue a spiritual journey, let's say. I used to sit in front of my computer and work in audit, in accounting, and I used to literally fall asleep. And I'm sure some of you might experience the same in your lives. That's something inside of you speaking to you. And one of the things I'd like to attempt today is to connect you to a part of you that knows, a part of you that has certainty and clarity about your life. And there's a process to live from that place, but what I want to do is give you a taste of what that could be for you. So I've done a bunch of personal development work. I started probably back in 2007, maybe a little bit before. But I got deep in 2007, 2008 into a whole bunch of methodologies, etc. I trained as a coach. I've become a trainer of coaches. I've trained over 200 coaches internationally. I've run workshops and trainings with over 3,000 people, not in one room, but in various settings. The model I'm going to show you today is a product of many years of collective experience, many methodologies, and confirmed by 40 case studies that I've been running over the last two and a half years, the Transform Yourself process that I take people through. 10 to 12 sessions, transformation. I'll show you what we're doing. It's become a predictable method, 90% success rate. So, one of the biggest questions we all sit with, who am I? Who am I? You might ask yourself consciously or unconsciously this question, who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? I had this very question from a very young age. I was lost and confused and I didn't know it. I remember sitting with my German Shepherd. I was maybe 9, 10 years old and thinking, you're the only one that loves me, you're the only one that gives me attention, because I didn't feel connection to myself or my family system. Although there was love, there was appreciation, there was a lot going on, but internally there was a disconnection. And many of you might have or be experiencing the same. The great thing is that there's a solution to this. It's possible to connect with who you truly are. And I'm going to explain to you what the indoctrination process is and how it became that you disconnected from yourself, and how it happened that you're not being who you truly are in your life. And you might be a little bit, but not completely. So, all of us have an identity. Our personality, our ambitions, our desires, our actions, our behaviors. This is the part of you that you show to the world. Many disciplines call it the ego self. And they're all about eradicating the ego. But you need to acknowledge and accept and understand and know what the ego is, who you are there before we eradicate. You've got to know what to eradicate. Now, the ego self lives for validation and acceptance. And that'll make sense when we get to the end. So your identity, the person that's sitting here now, who you think you are, creates goals, has ambitions, has desires, takes action on life. And many times you might achieve a certain level of success and be fulfilled by it. Other times you might achieve a certain level of success and feel empty. And that happens with a lot of people, this deep emptiness that they don't allow themselves to connect to because they should be at a different place. They should be like the people they see on social media, on YouTube, on the news, etc., because they present a life that appears to be what we want. The truth is it's not. The truth is that you're a unique human being, you're a unique individual, and you have a spark of life inside of you that's here to express itself in a unique way. But we're not connected with that spark, so we don't allow ourselves to express ourselves. So this is your identity, who you are now. Now, what creates the identity? How did you become who you are? And when I mean become who you are, the thoughts, the beliefs, the behaviors, what you believe is true about your life, about your environment, about your family, your friends, your relationships, religions, etc., across the board. Something made you who you are. You're a product of belief systems that you've encountered from the day you were born, probably since conception, until today. Family patterns. We receive belief systems, illnesses, patterns, genetic information from our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, all the way up to 9, 10, 11, 12 generations back. We can go back and identify a pattern generationally that you're carrying in your DNA that's as a result of a great-great-great-great-grandfather. Something happened many, many years ago, and you're carrying that now, and you might be living that pattern, and you don't know it. Societal conditioning. We all carry, we're born in a specific society, we're born in a specific place, and in that society there's certain laws, there's certain regulations, there's certain indoctrinations, there's certain rules, there's certain ways things are done, and we take on that conditioning, but we don't really question it. We don't question, is this me? Is this what I want? Is this who I want to be? We have buried and unprocessed emotions. So if there's an emotion you don't want to feel, anger, shame, fear, anxiety, and I shouldn't have this emotion, it's not right to have this emotion. You have this thought about the emotion, and you bury it. The burying might have happened many, many years ago when you were a child. And as a result, you have suppressed and blocked this emotion. What happens is that emotion will start to create an identity. I should not be angry. I should not feel shame. I should not have emotions, men. Being weak is wrong. So we all have something like this living inside of us that we shouldn't be. And anything you don't allow yourself to be, let's say you cut out the angry part of you, or the part that is able to express anger. I should never be angry, I should always be nice. You become a people pleaser, your identity. You become too nice. People walk all over you. People take advantage of you. Because you don't have the part of you, the angry part. It doesn't necessarily mean that it gets angry, but it's a part of you that's able to create boundaries and have the ability to say no. We carry pains and traumas from the past, some people to a greater extent, some people to a lesser extent, but for a baby, a trauma could be, I can't have my ice cream and my father said no, and this is a big trauma. And it can live inside the child all the way growing up, thinking, I can't get what I want. I don't deserve. I'm not worthy, as a result of a pain or trauma that happened at a young age. And shadows and denied parts, these are parts of ourselves that we don't like to see. We block, we push away, we bury. Carl Jung came up with the aspect of the shadow, the idea around the shadow. And the shadow is a part of ourselves that we don't want to see, we dislike. Usually, that part of ourselves that we hide shows up in other people. Shows up in your relationship, I don't like this. Shows up in your children, shows up in your parents, shows up in people, colleagues you work with. I don't like this, I'll put it away. But any part of you or any part of others that you distance from creates distance from yourself and others. So you create an internal disconnection, distance, whenever there's a shadow part, a part of you don't like. And we create judgments around that as well. So I want to give you an example. You might have, when you were young, at some point, something happened, and you developed the belief, I'm not worthy. Now, how does this relate to your identity? Now, if you have a belief, I'm not worthy, this belief can express itself in one of two ways. Either you carry that belief forward and you create an identity, I'm not worthy. So then you have a relationship, you choose your relationship based on I'm not worthy. So you choose an incorrect relationship with yourself because it's chosen out of a belief I'm not worthy. You might choose a job and settle for a lesser job, settle for a lesser salary, settle for something a little bit in the background, not acknowledging yourself, not honoring yourself, not truly valuing yourself because of this belief I'm not worthy. That would have been created sometime around 2 years old, but now when you're in your 20s, 30s, etc., making decisions and choices about your life, you think, no, I'm just shy. No, this is not me. No, I'm not a person that can stand here and do a presentation. I need to be behind a desk sitting there. And you live behind the desk unfulfilled, for example. The belief can also express itself in a different way. Trying to prove that you're not worthy, or trying to prove that you're worthy. So you have a belief, I'm not worthy, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to prove I'm worthy. So you overwork, you are always busy, you always show up at parties, you don't want to miss anything out. The ultimate imposter syndrome that people pick up. And you wonder, life isn't fulfilling, I still don't feel worthy. Nothing from the outside fills me up. So as you can see here, your identity can be created out of a belief, but that identity is not you. It's a persona, it's something you believe about yourself, and in order to survive, in order to deal with reality, you've created an identity that allows you to engage in the world today. But once again, that's not you. So, up here is the realm of personal development. When you go to different therapies, different personal development courses, etc., a lot of them deal with patterns and emotions and traumas and all of that above a wall of protection. They never go below the wall of protection. And this is why true transformation doesn't happen. This is why our lives don't transform, because we develop defense mechanisms to prevent to go deeper. We don't want to see something. We don't want to acknowledge something about ourselves. So what happens? We create a wall of protection, protecting ourselves. What are we protecting? Does anyone have an idea of what you might be protecting?
Your fears?
Fears? Didn't hear that? Ego, yeah. More specific? Disappointments?
The persona we build, we spend all the time building.
More specific, spot on, more specifically, the shame behind having built a persona that you're not living your true self. Yeah? Good one. So you know what they are. Behind the wall of protection is shame, guilt, and fear. And what we do is we create a defense mechanism that can show up in many different ways. It can show up as laughing. It can show up as always being okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, nothing wrong with me. Maybe it's showing up as emotional disconnection. Maybe it's showing up as anxiety, so it's actually physically showing up in your body as something, anxiety. And it can take many forms. But essentially, below the wall of protection, we're protecting ourselves from showing the world that we carry shame, guilt, and fear. This is what I call the ashamed self. And this is, if you want to transform your life, if you want to transform the foundation of which you live, we've got to break through the wall of protection gently and subtly and start to look at the aspects of the ashamed self. We've got to look at ourselves. When you have the courage to face the truth, whatever the truth is, I don't know what it is, you know what it is, but you don't want to look at it. But when you have the courage to face your truth and look at your life, that's when the ability to change and transform your life begins to happen. Unless there's truth, there's no transformation. That's why your identity, who you are as your identity, is not the true you. So when you do a personality profile, a lot of the profiles are profiling your identity. So you think, oh, this is me, 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 da da da, and you go and try and implement some of those things that don't work. Because it's a profile based on a false persona, not you. So in order to transform, we've got to go deeper and work on these aspects, work on those aspects below the wall of protection and process them below. That means you've got to go deep, you've got to feel them, you've got to connect to them, you've got to look at them, have the courage to look at them. But then once we break through the wall and acknowledge the shame, the guilt, and the fear, what I found with many people, probably everyone I work with, including myself, so I'm not excluded from this. This is something I've gone through myself in my life, and I've come to this point where I'm a little bit more authentic than what I was when I was younger. I find a fragmentation. When there's a trauma, or you have an accident, or something happens in your life that's quite traumatic and painful, we have an inbuilt mechanism in our mind to support us to survive. You've heard of people that, you may have heard, that have a car accident and time freezes and slows down. And everything happens in slow motion. In this moment, the person's consciousness removes itself from the body so they don't feel the pain of what's happening. And they're observing. That's why time slows down. And the body goes through whatever it goes through. And then they come back into the body and they start to experience a traumatic response. I had this when I was 16 years old. I was in a supermarket and there was an armed robbery. I had a gun to my head. They put us in a cage. They shot a bullet into the wall and they left. And about a minute later, my body started to shake and shiver. And I didn't know what it was, but this was the body's response of releasing trauma that was in the body, releasing the event that happened. The anger, the resentment, the shock, all of that happened, that I just froze. Oh, what do we do? And the body started releasing. This happens in the animal kingdom when a lion chases a buck, and the buck gets away, or the zebra or whatever it is. When they get away, they shake so they can release the trauma that's in their system. That's why you don't have animals in the wild with back problems or joint problems or anything like that, because they're able to release the trauma from their system and they always remain current and present. We don't do that. We don't have a society that supports traumatic release, healing, etc. So as a result, we carry burdens and traumas and pains, etc., our whole life, and it ages us. it's possible for the human being to live healthy at the moment up to 120 years. You don't have to age or get old or etc., the things that we have. So the fragmentation that happens creates a dissociation from a hidden pain. Most people don't know what their hidden pain is. And unless we get in touch with the hidden pain, the core of you won't transform and you won't connect to who you really are. And there's no chance you want to allow yourself to connect to that hidden pain, otherwise you would have already. That's why we hide it. That's why we create a fragmentation. What kind of fragmentations exist? Those fragmentations can come in the form of a deity. You see in the moment of shock or pain or something, you see a deity in your mind, you create it. Your mind creates a deity, a god, an angel, something to come and save you, and you hold on to that because otherwise the trauma is too much and you could die. So the mind has its own protection mechanism to create aspects of ourselves that support us. But those are imaginatory aspects to support us in temporary time. They're not there to stay there forever. So I've had that happen in my life, and I was able to connect to that, resolve that, and I don't have this deity running my life. I worked with another client some time ago, and she was a coach, and I took her through my process, and what happened to her during a moment of pain, she created an aspect of herself, white suit, perfect features, and she just looked amazing. She's like, wow, this is the perfect self. The problem with that is all her life, she's been trying to unconsciously, she wasn't aware that she created that, but she's been trying to unconsciously live according to that persona, according to that false self that she created. The superior self. Was Carl Jung also called the superior ego. We all try to live up to that, but that's as a result of a dissociative complex. It's not you, and it's not someone for you to live up to either. You're far grander than the image. But the image, the grandness of you is not going to be found up here in the projected vision, it's going to be found in here. And you express it. So, 3 ways to identify dissociated self. It's either a deity, it's either a self that of yourself that you create, or some kind of image of someone else coming to rescue you. The knight on shining armor, or whatever we want to call it, that we're always expecting. No way do we want to connect to that hidden pain. It's too painful. And through experience, it's not as painful as we think, but we don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to go there. But when you do, when you bring yourself back into your body and look at the pain, when you have the courage to look at it, you have the ability to transform it, and you have the ability to settle into who you are, your true self. Many methods, you can meditate until the end of time. If you have these aspects inside of you, the meditation is not going to have an impact. You're going to have a nice time up there. You're going to feel good. It's not going to have an impact. You can do therapy till the end of time. You can do whatever methods. If it's not done at the right place and if it doesn't address the correct aspects, and if it's not connecting you to your core, to the truth of who you are, you're just having a nice time. You're recycling the merry-go-round. This is what the ancient Indians referred to as the karmic cycle. Yeah, and it's not possible to break the karmic cycle until you break the cycle. Now, what is this hidden pain that we all share in common? Can anyone guess? part of it, but that's the need for validation, that's part of it. Need to belong. Abandonment.
Love. We all need love.
We all need love, but it's not the hidden pain. Yes, something like that. Yes. Yes.
Being neglected by someone.
And when you're neglected, how do you feel? Failure? Disappointed? Alone? See, what do you try to do when you're neglected?
Feel yourself.
We're trying to feel validation.
You try to feel validated and fill in and be loved and all of that. So the essence of that we all share is I can't be me. Others are more important than me. It happens almost every time I take a person through this process. What does this mean? I can't be me. It means that at some point in your life, beginning at conception, somewhere in the womb, once you were born, 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, somewhere there was a power struggle, there was a challenge, there was something to do with your parents, you were denied something, or an emotion wasn't acknowledged. It's as simple as the child is angry, and that anger isn't acknowledged. Don't be angry. Instead of, wow, you're angry. I see your anger. Wow, you're sad. I see your sadness. We don't acknowledge the thing, we stop it. Because that's the society that we've created. This is what we've learned to do. We shouldn't be like that. But all these aspects of ourselves want to be seen. And when you see them, when you put together all the colors of the rainbow, when you see all these different fragments of yourself and bring them together, what do you have? Something more specific, scientifically. What do you have? No. When you include all the aspects of yourself, when you include the anger, when you include the sadness, when you include everything, you have white light. When you take red, green, and blue are the primary colors, when you take these primary colors and merge them together, you have white light. Red, blue, and green, all the light, all the colors of the rainbow, all the colors of the world are an expression of red, green, and blue. Different formulas. Bring them together, light. Take them apart, darkness. So anybody out there that wants to tell you, push away the sadness, push away the anger, don't be this, don't be that, they're not inclusive and they're creating more darkness inside of you. Because we're a reflection, the outside world is a reflection of who we are inside. And we are all light. But you've got to understand the true foundation of I am love and light, not the false image of what love and light might be. And you can have the experience. So I can't be me is caused by something happens, it's not acknowledged, or I have a need and that need's not acknowledged. And what do? I shouldn't be like this. I can't be me. I can't express myself. I can't have this anger. I shouldn't be this. I should be what they tell me to do. I should do what my parents say. They're right, I'm wrong. So we've invalidated ourselves. And we go out there and we seek validation. We create a self that's acceptable to the world, that we believe will be acceptable, and we seek validation to validate who I am. Nothing you do will validate you. Nothing. The true validation happens within. And I'll show you exactly how that happens. The road to validating yourself means going through the shame and guilt, looking at it, acknowledging it, reprocessing the fragmentation, dealing with all the patterns, the family system stuff, the societal conditioning, your beliefs, unprocessed emotions, all of that, connecting with the core pain, recognizing this is the moment in time I created this. And it only gets integrated when you connect to it at a timeless space, at a point in time that's timeless, now, and at a space in time that's spaceless, here. So it can only be processed in the here and now, not in your mind. Your mind's not in the here and now. You have to be present to that moment when that happened, and in the here and now, you can integrate yourself. But there's another step that we deal with, and that's corruptibility. Because the moment I can't be me happens, you corrupted yourself. You're not connected to your essence. You're not connected to who you truly are. And you say yes when you mean no. You say no when you mean yes. You allow your boundaries to be broken. You do things you don't really want. You feel unfulfilled in life. You feel unfulfilled by the little things that you do. It might be a small little thing that you do. And you're corrupted. Even if it's a small percentage, you know at your core, I'm not living my truth. I'm not being truthful. And truth brings transformation. In yourself, in your community, in your family, in the world, in the universe. Only truth exists. One of the systems that I use is family constellation therapy, systemic therapy. One of the other things that I've studied was muscle testing, applied kinesiology. The body responds to truth. When you do a kinesiology test and you push the muscle down and you speak the truth, my name is Matteo, there's a strong yes response in the body. When you say something else, the body goes weak and creates a weak response. So truth gives strength. It gives power internally. Yeah? Your body gives a strong response. It's life-affirming. When you do things that are not life-affirming, like living through shame, guilt, and fear, like living through false belief system, like living a false identity, your vibration decreases and your life is not fully life-affirming. There might be parts of you that are, parts of you that are not, but the whole of who you are is not life-affirming. And this is why we don't feel in control of our lives. The identity, who you think you are, will never have control. Only your essence has control. And that's the journey to the essential self. That's who you truly are. It's hidden. As a mass consciousness, as a humanity, as human beings, as individuals, we don't live through our essential self. We live through the identity. And we're very busy in the world trying to affirm and validate the identity instead of express who we truly are. Children are lost and confused. You wonder why there's high rates of depression, high rates of suicide, high rates of anxiety, etc. Why there's fighting for no reason, because it's power struggles. When you're connected to your essence, there's no need for power. You know yourself. You're connected to your inner power to such a degree that you have, I don't want to use the word control, you have command over your life. Most people believe that I am fill in the blank. I'm a mother. I'm a father. I am Matteo. I am Natasha. I am Stavros. I am this. I am that. I am a mechanic. I am an accountant. I am a spiritual person. I am a healer. I am, fill in the blank. I am a meditator. I am love and light. All of that is not the truth, is not who you are, because there's a subject. And every time you create a subject, you've created an identity. So we go through 4 levels. 1 is the identity. I am my identity. That's not you. But then, when we dive a little deeper, you realize I am a belief. I am not worthy, I am successful, I am some kind of a belief. When we break through the wall of protection and we dive a little deeper, I am, or I may not be me. However, I'm not me. Yeah, we invalidate ourselves. Who you truly are is your essence. And you connect to that when you connect to that. But the next level, after you connect to essence, is I am source. This is I am love and light. But it happens when you connect to it within yourself, not when you meditate and you have a vision of it and it's outside in the mind. When it's an embodied connection, then you have the true experience and you know who you are. And when you know yourself, that's when life becomes limitless. That doesn't mean you can create anything you want, because it's got to be aligned with your truth. And that's when life becomes, surrender becomes a possibility. Trying to surrender when there's chaos going on is not going to work. Trusting yourself and having true inner confidence happens when you're connected to essence. When you're trying to be someone, the imposter syndrome and all of this, it doesn't matter how good you are at your app. If you have this mild, I'm an imposter, it means it's not this self-speaking. So I've walked that journey. I've done things when I haven't been confident. I've tried to prove confidence and act confident and all of that. Doesn't work. Because I still feel something's not right, not me. What happens when you create a false persona of confidence? Listen to this. When you create a false persona of confidence, you create a false unworthiness. Because quantum physics says where there's a positive, there needs to be a negative in order for there to be 0 point. Love is at 0 point. It's the integration of positive and negative. When you bring the good and the bad together, the yin and the yang, all of these ancient symbols that you all know about, when you bring it together, you have light. So the journey to becoming you is to integrate all parts of yourself. So in order to fulfill your purpose here on earth, in order to do that which you are here to do, it's important to connect with your essence, because your essence has the information. It was the point in time when you were born, you took the breath of life. That moment of birth, the entire universe, The entire cosmic frequency froze in that moment and you became the creation. The solar system was at a specific alignment. The sun was at a specific place relative to the earth. So was the moon. So was your rising sign, all of that. If we go higher into the cosmic plane, the cosmos was aligned in a specific place for you to breathe in life. Your void, your pain was taken in, and so was your purpose. And we're all going through the hero's journey of our own. The competition, not with others, with yourself, which is not a competition. It's a journey to connect to yourself, to find who you truly are. There's a reason why we're all lost and confused. It's purposefully designed that way. But I believe it's been happening for far too long, and we've been remaining inside the confusion for far too long. And it's time for all of us that are ready, that have this invitation, this desire to connect and serve, to do that. Because then life becomes about service, not about validating yourself. For many years, I used to stand in front and teach not this work, but something. And it was probably in 2012, 2011 back then, I went through a lot of dark nights of the soul to burn away the part of me that needed validation. And now, at least at the best of my ability, I'm standing here serving. Not needing validation. And this is our journey. Once you're living for service, serving your purpose, giving it as a contribution to the world, you connect to all the universal gifts. That doesn't mean problems go away, because lessons still continue. You still continue to expand. So dive into the challenges when they come. So I've just spent maybe 1.5 years in hell, in the dark night of the soul, reviving, rebirthing myself, because there was a part of me I needed to dive into. Part of me wasn't fully alive. So embrace your journeys and embrace your challenges and see them as a way to find greater parts of yourself and integrating more parts of you. I think we're more or less out of time. If there is any questions, we maybe have 1 or 2 minutes. Yes?
Sometimes you have some very deeply rooted unconscious traits inside us, that we didn't face them, even to know that they are there. So I would like to ask you if people don't bring to the surface and face them, are very unconscious inside us. Perhaps many people they say this is a cause of cancer, and because it's not express emotions and feelings, so this is transformed to poison, sometimes going to
100%. Very true. Yes, totally. What I recommend as a first step, just as a first step, is going into your body and allowing yourself to feel. No matter how tough it is, maybe you can't feel anything, especially men. I've had it as well. To open up your emotional body and allow yourself to start to feel and acknowledge emotions. Just labeling emotions. I feel this, I feel that. What are you doing in that moment? You're revalidating yourself. You are validating yourself. You don't need a therapist, a coach, or anyone to validate you. You start to validate yourself and accept responsibility for your path. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm hurt by what you did. And you start to validate yourself by acknowledging your emotions. I've got a beautiful grounding meditation, which you can go to my website, listed up there. You can go to my website and download it for free. It's a 10-minute meditation, maybe a bit longer, that helps you to disconnect from the outside world and go into yourself. There's also a podcast I put together which has the very short know yourself lessons. You can find it on Spotify or one of those channels. I started doing family constellation work in Cyprus. If you want to know more about it, send me a text. I'll put my number here. And I need to add your email to the system so you're informed about stuff. I have a transform yourself process, which is exactly what I explained today. It takes you step by step. I take you step by step through the process of connecting to your essence, 90% success rate. I have a retreat happening next year, and feel free to speak to me or connect with me outside, and I'll be happy to connect. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.